Well, Lance, thanks for having me in here. Want to start off by asking you, what's new in the industry? What's happening? How fast are we moving right now?
Yeah. I mean, arguably, we could be moving a lot faster. I think people don't really feel it yet, but it's going to come really, really quickly. We're at a couple of events, you and I, over the last couple of weeks recently, and somebody talked about, we're going to see more change in the next 10 years than we have in the last 100. I think it's going to be a lot faster than that. Yeah.
What do you think we're not moving fast enough on yet? Or what do you think people should be accelerating more than they are, given the tech change?
Yeah, well, and that's the interesting thing as well. The classic saying, the future's here, it's just not evenly distributed. And I think that's the biggest challenge, is people adopting the technology and starting to use it. And in the past, it used to be a kind of very much a waterfall approach to doing it, and there was a sequence. Whereas now, it's, you either do it, or it's going to get kind of done to you from a number of different angles, whether it's the shared service, GBS, the operating model, or just basically agents starting to do work with you or for you.
Yeah, it's interesting where it's like you're either going to do it or it's going to get done to you.
Yeah.
I think that's different by persona.
Yes.
Because I think if we're thinking about procurement.
Yeah.
Yes, it's either you need to do it or get done to you. Everyone is moving at such a fast clip. If you think about the end user, they shouldn't have to know, and it should
100%.
be such a delightful experience that they actually want to engage more. And when they engage, they're getting value. So I think that's what's different about this tech cycle than any other. Where before it was, okay, people had to go do something, and then you had to put up with it. Where now it's when you do engage with it. It should delight you if done right.
Absolutely.
And they shouldn't have to know all the tech underneath it. What LLM is it? How are these platforms integrating? What's the agent protocols between the different providers? It's just simple.
Yeah.
And I think that's what everyone's striving towards right now.
Yeah, and there's two things you said there which really resonate with me. Is one, the user experience, when it's the business, but also suppliers, because for every one business user, there's probably another 100 to 1,000 suppliers or supplier users as well. And then the second thing is this difference between the user experience, which is getting so much better, but also the architecture that sits behind that you don't see, but is what's fundamentally changing. So how do you structure the architecture you need to be able to support agents and those workflows, and whilst at the same time embedding trust in the relationship through the security of the architecture they're setting up.
Yeah, we're just going now. But the supplier side's interesting.
Yeah.
Because I do think that in the future state, future being a year or two out, it's the supplier agents working with the procurement agents, and they're working together. On the user experience, one thing that I think is really cool with agents is it's not going to be that you always have to go into the platform, into ORO, into Fairmarkit, which admittedly we can always do a better job of becoming more like the Instagrams, becoming more like the Rob, whatever it is. But we're seeing this push towards meeting people where they are.
Yes.
So it's, hey, you know what? Procurement needs to clarify something with the end user. Don't always have them log into a system and go through these forms. Just go to Teams, go to Slack, go to text. Or something that we're experimenting with a lot is voice. Can we just be multimodal, go out to them, do a quick phone call on their drive to work to clarify, which some people might think sounds a little crazy right now, but I think that's going to be a norm coming up pretty soon.
It is. It's activating the conversation. And what I'm seeing as well is this coming to life with customers very, very quickly. We've had customers on the ORO platform using agents for now about 9 months, since it all kind of kicked off. Some of the early adopters, and it's very, very powerful to see the shortening of cycle times, from days to minutes, as well as the capture of savings as well as they go through that journey as well.
Who doesn't mind me dropping? Nitin, this is to you. GSK, he'll ping me on the side a good amount and just being like, hey, can we work on this agent with you and ORO? Can we work on this agent with you and ORO? And it's unlike what I've seen the last 7 years, where people are not just saying, can you have this functionality? They're saying, we want to solve this problem. We want to get to this business value. How can we set up agents with our partners to get there? Which I know you just had your event. We had our event 2 weeks ago. That was the most exciting part. It's people just legitimately problem solving and exploring what's possible, which once again, in the past, it was always, what's the feature sheet that we're trying to build?
Absolutely.
Now it's, what are we trying to solve? And then, like, let's build it together.
Yeah. And, another name check to Nitin and the GSK team there. That, it's great to be able to see that front door from an intake perspective coming all the way through. And you're right, connecting in for the sourcing work with yourselves. And also we've kind of launched the supplier front door, which again, it's it's a step beyond just a portal. It's the start the journey and kicking into all different parts of the business as well.
What's your for people that maybe aren't as familiar with our partnership together?
Yeah.
How would you describe it? Because you can go and then I'll go to make sure we're talking the same language here.
No, absolutely. I mean, first of all, I think that the foundation of the relationship is based upon a similar way of thinking, similar way of working, and I've been lucky enough to work with you and the team for 4 or 5 years now, probably more in reality, and there's always been a customer focus. And then an exceptional kind of way of working, all the way through from design through to implementation as well. And then, same as us, a big focus on value. So, I've kind of valued that, and how we're seeing that come together is how we work together, but then also ultimately when we deliver solutions. So, for clients, it's the start of the journey, the business user or the supplier or procurement starting the journey, coming through the front door or intake, and then being channeled into particular areas of spend and activity as well. And so, yes, we integrate into Candex or catalogs and that sort of thing, but then integrate into yourself seamlessly. For quite a few customers now, when you're going deep on sourcing as well. And then importantly, because it doesn't end there, and then it's kind of what comes out the back end, whether that's into contracting or whether it's into PR and invoicing and payment as well. So it's a fundamental part of the journey. The other thing I would say is quite important for us is the depth that you bring in that sourcing, strategic sourcing, autonomous sourcing space, because clients are wanting more in that space. They're not happy with the current and legacy systems, and they're wanting to go deeper in that particular area. So 2 ways that it's particularly powerful. First of all, is team and the way we work together is great. And then obviously the other is the platform that we create together for clients.
It's interesting. We'll have very different answers. I figure. No, I'm joking.
Yeah.
No. I'm in the same camp where when we look for partners, and that's partners and customers, it's the team. It's like who we're going to work with, because like any project, it's not perfect. Any digital transformation is hard. So you have to be with people that can execute, but that want to be partners through the journey. And like I felt that from day one with your team, with Sudhir, with everyone. So it's been like, that's honestly what's most exciting to us. And then like Sudhir and I talked, it's probably like 2 years ago. And we talked about like the whole landscape, we talked about ProcureTech, everything. And I was super clear that our sole goal right now is to be the #1 sourcing solution in the world. And we're gonna go really, really deep on that to make sure, from tactical to autonomous to strategic to reverse auction to everything, that we're the best in the world. And he's like, hell yeah. And he's like, we are the best when it comes to user experience, when it comes to orchestration, to really nailing that. And we both said it's like, we can't fall into this trap that the industry has gone to the last 15, 20 years, where it seems like best in breed and then expands out to everything. And it's like jack of all trades, master of none. And we've seen it a couple different cycles. And like it keeps seeing it. So I am very, very excited and confident that as your team keeps really going deep on user experience, orchestration, pulling it all together, we go super deep from a sourcing perspective. Then the question that we need to keep working on is, it's not just integrations anymore, it's not just APIs, because like that's table stakes. It is, how are the agents working together? And then what's the user experience? And where is that experience? Because as I said, I've talked about before, different personas should have different experiences. It's not a one size fits all anymore. And I think like that's a cool problem to solve with all of our joint customers and then between our two teams.
And also as well, it's a little bit of a bigger industry challenge. You know, we see OpenAI developing at a huge amount of pace, you know, with their recently launching DocGPT in the contracting space. And for us collectively to give a better experience and a better product, we have to be both deep and then also giving people that experience as well. So the depth is fundamental, otherwise it might be source GPT before you know it. You know?
Well, we gotta have some fun with it. Like that's where like Sora 2 came out. Like people are starting to have some fun with that. Now you can actually allow it to use your own face or use your friend's face and create videos. So like maybe we intertwine something like that with the community. I don't know. But I think you bring up a good point where it's things are even at a macro for AI and agentic moving fast. It's how do we keep staying ahead of the curve, but then more so it's bringing in that new tech as it does come. And it's not, and I like we've made the mistake early on in this like AI journey of like getting too technical. Every time there was a XYZ launch, you'd be like, oh, like look, think about all this, and then like reinforcement, fine tuning, all these different areas. When in reality, I think our customers are looking for both of us to come say, this is how if we make this change, this is how the user experience is gonna be enhanced. Like, are we good to go do this? And it's not, we're trying to be very thoughtful because it is a lot of change all at once. And there is security concerns and there's ethical concerns. There's a lot of different things that go into it. So I think as much as we have fun with it and as much as we're telling this fun story and like working with customers, it is good, and CDR talked about it recently, of let's make sure that the responsibility side is not just a buzzword, but we do have oversight. We have visibility to what's happening. We have transparency. Because at the end of the day, something's gonna happen. And then you're gonna have to be able to look back and say, why did this decision get made? And if we just turn the keys over to agents and autonomous agents right now, people could get caught. But if we do it in a methodical way where we have humans in the loop, and then over time, as agents see humans doing less, then you bring back to humans saying, am I good to turn this over to agents?
Absolutely.
Which is it'll take years, but when I say years, probably 2 years tops. So it should be fun.
That's it. And I think more if you look to the future, a few of the more proactive and leading thinkers from a procurement perspective are basically looking at that strategy and how they execute on it and what the model looks like. Yes, procurement are going to be doing 20, 30% more, but the profile of my team is going to be very different. You know, 60%, 40 to 60% is going to be agents, and the rest is going to be the team and the human in the loop.
Are you buying, Dr. Elvis Epstein, this one's for you. Are you buying that everyone's going to have 20 agents? And do you think we're downplaying the complexity of everyone having 20 agents?
I think they'll have more. I mean, we saw it. We just ran a hackathon ourselves. 15 corporates. All global 2,000 companies, 10 teams. They created 3-4 agents in the space of kind of 2 hours. So I think people will have more. And it comes back a little bit. You mentioned at the start is that.
But say someone had 100 agents. And they now have 100 agents doing all these different processes, and you have 10 people with 100 agents. You have 1,000 agents. How do they all work together?
Well, so they can. I mean, the protocols are set up so they can. I mean, the hackathon we ran, they built 4 agents, and then they ran them together. And so it all depends on the degree, whether or not you have one master agent that runs the micro agents as well. So it's happening.
Yeah, it's a little bit of a lead. So I agree. It's setting up the right protocol and architecture. What I'm not completely sold on is that we want, in the current state, everyone building out 100 agents or 20.
So you should, to your point, you should, if the agent already exists for contract analysis, then everybody should be using that, or at least say, well, okay, I'm gonna give it a go, and if I need to double click on it, then how do you create it? And that's part of the challenge, is creating the right portfolio of agents rather than it just being proliferation.
Yeah, cool, because that's my view is like we think about it as there's like embedded agents. There are agents that are preset, ready to go. You configure them for your organization. And then you have workflow agents that would think about, okay, how do we tie the whole process together? But then you have you're creating it by yourself agents. And I think the challenge with those last type, I think the first two, awesome. The last type is people they recreate their own shitty process.
Yeah.
And they create like everything that they've been doing, they just redo that.
Yeah.
So like I think the big shift we have to kind of help people drive towards, and you brought it up of like it's gonna be a different persona or profile, is in this like world today, we're still thinking about how do like agents fit around our world and how we do work today. And I think just as like when you have an airplane, you don't have airplanes that land on roads, we built airports.
Yeah.
So we had to change how we think about like the whole structure and the architecture. So I think it's gonna take a push to help people understand it's not like how do you have agents fit into your current world, but how do you fit your world into this agentic world?
Yeah.
So that's where I'm not fully sold on, hey, go build every agent that you want under the sun, because I do think that creates not just chaos, but it creates just like an old shitty process digitalized, which people did. So I think we got to lead people to water, but that flexibility allows them to explore, and I think that's the most important part. Because once you like touch it, you feel it, it's successful. Even if it's something trivial, it still creates that like, ooh, like that, I can do it again. And maybe I'll lean into what the digital team's talking about next time.
And it's interesting because I think what you end up with is the ability to do a lot more personalization, and that can be driven, not just at the procurement level, looking at 5 channels, but actually driving down into individual categories of spend or sourcing activity, and the nuances between them that basically allow you to access maybe a little bit of extra savings or extra speed that you couldn't do before as well. So you're right, getting the balance right.
I have a question for you, just because obviously like you have experience across a lot. We're seeing that in this world of agents and AI, the question is, do category strategies exist in the future?
Yeah.
What are your thoughts?
I think they will, but I don't think they'll always be called a category strategy anymore, because people will just follow the process, or the process will be autonomized as well, taking the same inputs, making the same recommendations, and then flowing directly into a strategic sourcing activity that's the right type of strategic sourcing activity as well. So the thing you've got to balance here is the educational process that you go through and the thought pattern that you go through to create a category strategy, or the so what. Because from a procurement perspective, I don't think you can lose that skill set. It's just you're leaning, and you're going to be.
What skill set? Creating like actually the creating it, you think, or the delivery of it?
No, it's the actual creation of the strategy itself. So it is the creative process of going, well, okay, I understand what my supply base is. I understand what my business requirements are. I understand how the technology is changing in the future for this particular product or service, and pulling that all together into a strategy for how you approach that category, and then identifying the opportunities, and then the opportunities effectively then become autonomized.
Yeah, no,
It's another, by the way, I firmly believe this is another front door or intake. So a lot of people are traditionally looking at, okay, it's the user, it's the business, it's procurement, and then you're looking at the supplier. I actually think that the data that comes into a category strategy then creates an outcome that basically is the insight or the idea that leads into a sourcing activity or something else as well.
Yeah, no, I think you hit on a lot of really interesting points where, like, the way that we're looking at it would be category strategies will exist in some capacity. To your point, like they're going to be there. There's still a lot of experience that goes into it. I think there's going to be more outside information pulled in.
So they'll be dynamic.
Yep. I think they're going to be updated and evolve like throughout the year. But then we have heard people, our customers, talk about it in this world of AI and agentic, where just as it's going to be a personalized experience for the user, it'll be a personalized experience for each request that comes in. So as a specific request comes in, whatever the category, whatever it is, it understands all the different elements of what's happening in the market, of the category strategy, of this request, of this user, and says, this is how we think it should get optimized. And then one thing that people still think about right now is that's still static thinking about like that. Because it's like, oh, a lot of things can happen from when this request starts to when you actually award it, and then when you make the purchase and delivery. So we're really kind of pushing this idea of like an adaptive, in our world sourcing, adaptive RFX. Where it is the request comes in, a AI strategy is set up and then executed, but as it's being executed, as real-time data is coming in, it might decide, okay, instead of going to a autonomous negotiation, do another sourcing event, a multi-round. It could say, you're done. You have the best price or you have the best value, whatever it is. So I think this old world is a very static world. And in the future, it's very much of, let's be reactive and adapt as we go, which we had one customer had an aha moment being like, holy shit, so like all that work we do, all that planning for category strategies, do we even need it? And I think like that will get challenged more and more in the coming years.
But I think that when you look at that, it's basically, the key thing is it's dynamic. So different inputs are going to come from the business. You're going to basically, which some are going to be structured as part of an annual process, and others are just going to be, off the cuff, a new marketing events happening or whatever, what it might be. But then as data changes, exchange rates change, or raw material prices change, or there's a war, and then that will flow through dynamically, and you're right, then you'll react, which is super exciting for the future.
What's one thing that you think people are underestimating when it comes to AI and agentic? Just tossing you these like fastballs at 6:30 in the morning here.
No. I genuinely think the change management is not to be understated, because we talked about at the start, we've got a load of leaders, fast followers that are coming, but ultimately when you're working with the organizations we do, they've got 500 to 1,000 people in procurement, and there's a huge amount of adoption needs to be done. Now it can be done fast, using hackathons or virtual events, whatever it might be. But that we can't underestimate the fact that there's 80% of the population needs to kind of get on the bus, as Aloise would say, and get on the journey. Yeah. Cool.
Awesome. Anything else you think we should be covering right now?
No, great. It's, as always, fantastic conversation with you. And I'm kind of super excited about the next 2 years. It's going to be fast. Cool. We're going to look back and go, wow, we didn't realize how far we'd come.
I think people are going to be surprised by that. I think even when you do the hackathons, people, their imagination is a little limited based off what they can see today. And I think hopefully people get trained over time to see the rate of innovation, how much things are changing, and then that will open up their horizon. But in the meantime, we'll play the game on the field and fired up about this partnership.
Absolutely.
Cool. Great doing this with you, Lance.
Take care.
Yep.